We've reached the end of Season 3, and we're starting up Season 4, all tonight on Shove It Unlocked. Hello, and welcome everybody to Shove It Unlocked, a Stargate-based podcast. Good evening. My name is BC. Kevin, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing real good.
Are you? You're feeling top notch right now?
Yeah, I had a pretty good week at work, and my meds are working pretty good, so yeah, I'm in a good mood.
Dude, that's always a good thing. Before we get started, I wanted to apologize for the late delay on episode 21's podcast. I was telling Kevin we're not going to get into it big time. Wasn't feeling really good last week. Got really, really sick and wasn't able to edit that down and get that uploaded. But you're basically getting a double episode week this week, and maybe even a triple one. So we will see how this goes. So my apologies on that, but as long as nobody goes to the hospital, everything should be normal from this point forward again. We just got to avoid hospitals now.
Yeah, well, if you go back, I'll edit the episodes down and we'll take care of our fans.
Dude, I swear, I was like, man, this is just a really weird head cold. You know, like that's just what I was like, I'm just going to go lay down. I'm going to go sleep this off. And then when I came out of everything, it had been like 5 days. I was like, okay, that pretty much is a week right there. So, but tonight is actually a good night. Tonight we have 3 awesome episodes and a changing of the guards into Season 4. That's right, folks. We are finishing Season 3 tonight with Crystal Skull and Nemesis. And we're starting Season 4 with Small Victories. That would be episodes 65, 66, and 67 of the total run. Yeah. Man, what a way to end Season 3.
Oh, talk about going out with a bang. These were some of the best episodes of Stargate so far.
Yeah, I cannot disagree with you, man. I can maybe a little bit disagree with you about Crystal Skull, but Nemesis and Small Victories, that is your, so far, man, I said this in Season 1 going into Season 2, but that's your epitome of cliffhanger episodes. Like that's how those should work, I think.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt. And you're allowed to be wrong on Crystal Skull. That's fine. That's not going to interfere with our relationship in any way, shape, or form.
Nor should it.
That is by far the most fantastic episode of Stargate.
It is your favorite?
It is absolutely one of my favorite.
Oh.
I know I say that a lot, but this truly is one of the ones that is a standout for all time for me.
Okay. All right. I can appreciate it. I can. When we nitpick it, I think, yeah, I'm not going to argue with you. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I have
liked
pages
it.
and pages of notes. I'm going to nitpick the crap out of it, but
okay.
I love it.
Okay. Did we talk on air last week or off air about the whole Dan Aykroyd Crystal Skull vodka?
I think that was off air. I don't remember anymore.
I think that was off air.
So much of my life is recorded now, I can't even tell.
Between 2 podcasts.
Yeah, seriously. The 2 podcasts, the bonus stuff we do for this. I can't. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I hear you, dude. It's a little surreal still, you know? Like recording stuff and putting it out to the internet. It's a very weird feeling for me. And what's weird is that I listen to a lot of podcasts, so it shouldn't be that weird when we record one or we upload one or whatnot, but it still is a little odd for me, that's all. So let's just dive in, man. Let's just kick it off with Crystal Skull, a brief synopsis by you, and then we'll fucking dissect this thing.
Fantastic. So this episode opens up with the gang sending a Malp through the gate, and instead of going through themselves as they always do every other time, they take it for a quick tour around and through this weird pyramid cave building thing where Carter can, for some reason, see small particles that she shouldn't be able to see with the naked eye on the grainiest video the 90s have ever produced. I'm sorry, early 2000s. So Daniel freaks out when he sees a pixel that he thinks represents a crystal skull. They go through. He gets disappeared. The gang tracks down his uncle, who's crazy but not crazy but crazy, and they introduce him to bigger aliens that we never see again.
Yeah, and before we really even get started, I just want to point out that the zoom function on the Malp is like the best zoom ever created by a human being.
That is not how that works.
Oh my God, dude. I was like, really? That's some incredible detail right there.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so clearly I think you're going to end up liking this more than I am. Why don't you tell me what is it about this episode that just hits you right in the feels?
Honestly, I think it's the family aspect with Daniel. I think it's the love that they show for him when he's not there. It's very much like It's a Wonderful Life, where he's kind of walking around seeing his influence on people and kind of getting a voyeuristic glimpse into people's lives, like with Hammond and his granddaughter and the play and all that. And it's Jack who's talking about how he misses Daniel and wishes Daniel was there. And it's like a heartwarming look into the lives of these people. And it's Daniel thinking he's dead and trying to cope with that. And I just love it, like it really works very well as far as I'm concerned.
I would agree with you on that front, actually. Because as far as I remember, this is the first time we've heard about his uncle.
Yep. Which is a bone of contention for me that we'll get into.
Okay, fair enough. Now, is this, okay, you may have to help me here on this one. So with the crystal skull, we know that that's a real thing, right?
Yeah.
In real world. Was it found in Belize initially?
Well, I believe there are several of them, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not just that I think the one in Belize for this is made up.
Okay.
But there have been several crystal skulls. And for anybody that doesn't know why that's an important thing, there are skulls made of different types of crystal that have been found around the world, generally near pyramids. But specifically, they look like they are made in such a way that the tools to make them were not available to the people that made them at the time they were made.
Correct.
And yeah, so it creates this sort of perfect vector for conspiracy theorists to say it was aliens.
Yes. And while we're talking about that, actually, I guess I can go ahead and I'll retell. So Dan Aykroyd, for those who don't know, Dan Aykroyd, star of fucking just every great 80s movie you can possibly think of. Yep. Dan Aykroyd, he stars in Ghostbusters, which is my favorite movie of all time, but he truly is a paranormal fanatic, and he buys into, I shouldn't say buys into, but he believes all this stuff about aliens and ghosts and things like that, and he actually has a line of vodka out called Crystal Skull Vodka, and two parts here. One, it is quality fucking vodka, so if anybody is around and gets a chance to try it, I would absolutely recommend it. But two, the vodka comes in a crystal skull, and it is fantastic, like just from a look standpoint. But that's neither here nor there. It's great vodka, though. But yeah, Dan Aykroyd is a firm believer in the whole crystal skull myths and legends and all that type of stuff. And this is one of those things that I think Stargate shines on, is the fact of taking legends from various times and various cultures and putting them into the episodes. You know what I'm saying? Like whether it be, absolutely. I do remember some King Arthur stuff that we're going to get later on down the road. But any of the Mayan stuff or all that type of stuff, they do such a good job of weaving those things into their stories.
Yeah, I meant to look it up. I thought the alien at the end said the name of one of the Mayan gods when he was saying the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah.
And I wanted to confirm that before we got here, but I never quite got there. But it definitely sounded like he was saying something like Quetzalcoatl, which I'm sure I'm butchering. But I just find that is interesting. You're right. They do sort of bring all of these disparate beliefs and old world systems of gods and myths and distill them down to their core in a way that works with this.
Yeah, and they do such a good job. And if they do have to change a few things to fit it into the Stargate universe, they do, and they do it well. Man, I didn't pick up on that. The only thing I picked up on at the end of that with the alien was him just repeating the whole, enemy of my enemy is my friend type of theory. But so let's just keep diving into it, though. So what else about this episode? What else about this episode did you love before we start nitpicking it? Because I want to keep this positive as best we can.
I loved the opening shot. I loved the shot of the gate on a cliff overlooking the biggest pyramid I have ever seen. And just that sweeping panorama of the Malp sort of, beelining right for the pyramid. I don't know. It really raised my spirits. I thought that was a great shot. I'm trying to think. Like, it was just the whole inside of the pyramid.
Yeah.
Was really, really cool looking. It was a definite ostentatious, I guess would be the best word for it. We've got all this space, and then all it does is one walkway with one crystal skull in the middle. And I'm sure that can be explained that it was focusing the energies to be able to teleport people or whatever. It doesn't matter. That's the thing.
Yeah,
the backstory doesn't matter. It's still cool.
Yeah. If we're going to talk about that, so the one thing I think that has resonated with me throughout us starting this podcast and us rewatching these shows is how well a lot of the special effects hold up in this show for a show that started in 96, and I believe we're in February of 2000 for this particular episode. The special effects have held up so well, and then we get to an episode like this where the special effects were so bad that it took me out of the story.
You talking about all the green screen they used?
Yeah. So at least the special effects were bad, and they were bad at the very beginning, and it only took me out of the story because once they got back to the SGC, I'd kind of forgotten about it, right?
Yeah.
And then they go back.
I think the walking through Daniel effect was pretty damn cool.
Now, again, I agree with you. My gripe was mostly that green screen work that you just mentioned. Like when they're running down the fucking I don't know what you want to call it, the ramp that links the cave to the actual center where the skull's at.
Yeah.
And it just looks like they're just running in place, that type of thing. But again, it happened early, so I was like, I kind of forgot about it, and then they send Teal'c back, and I'm like, oh, fuck, here it is again, But again, I mean, I've praised this show multiple times for the use of the special effects and how well they pulled it off, and this one it was so bad to me that it literally took me out of the episode for far too long. The stuff
that sucks.
I was just gonna say the stuff with Daniel, though. I agree with you. The stuff with Daniel looked great, like when Teal'c kind of runs past him or runs through him, type of thing.
Yeah,
that looked really, really good. But everything inside of the cave, man, even down to the alien, the smoke alien. I was like, come on, we've seen, like, it was so reminiscent of those crystal creatures from whatever episode that was. It was very reminiscent of that to me, and I was just like, fuck off. Like, this is throwing me, Cold Lazarus, I think is what that one was. It was throwing me out of the episode way too much.
See, I didn't mind it, but I've spent a lot of time, not recently, but when I was much younger, watching cam movies of some dude sitting in a movie theater, recording the movie.
Yeah.
So something like that being blurry and being off, that it doesn't really strike a chord with me. I'm looking at the story.
Okay.
But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I do.
It was just, it was just enough. That's all. But go ahead.
No, I get that. But I love, like, Nicholas, and his character is fucking fantastic because he is crazy, but he is not. And I love when he's, like, relaying Daniel's information and instructions to Jack, and Jack is questioning him, and Daniel's like, no, that's not what I said. And Nick is just like, yes, that is what he said.
Yes, that is what he said.
Yes, I should definitely come through this giant stone portal with you, by all means. Just let me get my tweed jacket with my leather patches on the armpits, because that's my gear. I realize you're wearing army stuff and guns, but I'm a professor.
It's what I do.
Right. Like, that was great.
The thing with Nicholas's character that I really liked is that, when we pick up his story, he's in a psychiatric ward for going crazy, basically. And it was one of those things that, like, when he's looking at Daniel and he's apologizing that he should have adopted him, and Daniel's like, wait, can you see me? And he's like, yeah, of course I can. You're fictitious. That type of thing.
Right. Why wouldn't I see you? What's wrong with you?
I thought that was incredibly good writing because it just shows that, like, even Nicholas or even Nick thinks that he's insane at that point. You know, like he's still holding on to his beliefs. He'll still argue with you like, no, I got transported by that skull. But there's a part of him that also believes maybe I am going crazy.
Yeah, he's really of two minds. And this is a world where that can happen. Like that can work.
Yes.
And I love that. But this is my biggest problem with Nick in this episode is episode 4 of this season, Legacy. Daniel is committed to a mental institution, and they specifically say he does not have a history of mental instability in his family.
You're right. I remember recording that episode with you and you pointing that out that was going to come back.
Yep, and it has come back. It is. You know what? I get it. They're writing episodes and they're not necessarily. They don't have like the Bible done for each character, so they know all of this ahead of time.
Yeah. Now, was it Daniel that said, "I have no history of mental illness"?
I wanted to go back again. I haven't had time.
You're fine.
Like a chicken with my head cut off. But I'm pretty sure the doctor was explaining to the rest of the team that he had no history of mental instability
within his family.
But it could be Daniel, and really either way, I have issue with.
Yeah,
because he does.
He does,
and it's known. Like it's known to the doctors. This is not unusual. It's not like when he went missing, all of a sudden Nick contacted the SGC and was like, "I'm his uncle. By the way, I'm crazy." He went missing, and all of a sudden it was, "Hey, we got to contact his uncle. He's in this mental institute. Let's go see him."
But is it possible that Daniel kept that information from them? Like that Daniel wouldn't want people to know that he had a crazy uncle?
But then someone knew.
Who knew?
Whoever told them to go see the uncle.
Yeah, Daniel did. That's what I'm saying is that at the start of Crystal Skull, he was like,
right. He was like, my uncle found one in Belize.
Well, he kept saying Nick, whatever his last name was. I'm drawing a blank now. And then finally he was like, my uncle, you know, and they all, ooh, you know, they all kind of looked at each other and had that moment.
I mean, you're right. That might be the explanation.
I don't know. I'm spitballing here, you know, because it did, because from Daniel's point of view, and correct me if I'm wrong, they had a big falling out last time he was at the hospital, and he just never went back at that point.
No, because, I mean, Daniel knew he was crazy, because it's this old man who's claiming he was teleported to another planet where there's giant smoke aliens. It doesn't happen.
You know what's weird, though, is that I want to know what they fought about, because if anybody would have been sympathetic to Nick's story, you would have thought it would have been Daniel at that time frame in Daniel's life, because Daniel was arguing at the time that the pyramids were landing spots for aliens.
No, I mean, I know why you're saying that, and you're saying that because you're not an idiot, but I deal with idiots all day. And I swear to God, there's nothing more frustrating than having someone tell you something is wrong when you know it's right and they are wrong and they won't budge, and then you prove something else to them and it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
So I can totally see the two of Daniel being like, no, the aliens built the pyramids, but having an alien take you, that's dumb. And having Nick on the other side of that being like, no, aliens took me. Aliens building the pyramids is dumb.
Dude, that should be an episode. That should have been some bonus episode in season 3 of just those two arguing. Because I think you just potentially just wrote a hidden episode of Stargate right there.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? We're gonna play that on the RPG at some point.
Oh, we totally should. We absolutely should, man. And people could be characters in the psychiatric ward. We can all play characters.
Someone's got to be
this.
Napoleon.
Oh. Yes. Oh, I called dibs. For the people that are playing in our group. If you're listening to this podcast, I already called dibs. So sorry. Awesome. But going back to the episode now. What else? What else did you love about this?
I love Robert. Robert being the other guy that tried to replace Daniel when he retired.
Yes.
So they hand the crystal skull to Robert and they say, okay, we need you to figure this out. It made Daniel disappear. And this guy's like, nah, dude, this is just a crystal skull. You ain't seen a crystal skull before. It's just crystal. It's a skull.
He was
and it's like, listen.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Listen, You dick. You have been to another planet through a giant stone ring you found buried in Egypt, built by aliens to fight other aliens with snakes in their heads. This is not abnormal for you. This is a Tuesday.
Yeah. But I loved it because it was the scientist in him saying, no, this is, and you nailed that just when you said that. Yeah. He's like, nope, this is just crystal. You know, like, he's like, wow, it looks remarkably like the one they found in Belize, but yep, this is just crystal. And then, who was it? Was it Sam was walking out of the room when they left him the first time, or maybe it was Teal'c. I think it was Teal'c said, don't look it into it. Don't stare into the eyes. That's what turns it on. And then next scene we get is him just like 2 inches away from it, just like staring into it, you know?
I think he fell asleep like that.
Oh, God. No, you're right, man. That was a good use of that character, but not just that. I agree that the man should be a little bit more open-minded to the possibilities, but I think it works best in this show to have him like that.
Yeah.
You know?
No, absolutely. The skeptic works.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does. And especially where he despite being like, what did they say? He was a decathlete or something. He's completely incompetent and capable of running and all the other things that made him not Daniel.
Yeah. Well, what's crazy, the way I kind of saw that is he took on the Jack character there for a little while because Jack was there when Daniel vanished, right? But normally normally those lines would be dedicated to Jack. You know, like
absolutely.
What are you talking about? That's just crystal. You know, that type of like grounded, I only see what's in front of me type of thing, you know? So I thought it was kind of a good way to incorporate a Jack-esque opinion without having to use Jack.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It really is. It worked very well.
Yeah.
I always, with things like this, because this is a trope of a lot of shows in this category. Star Trek has done this a million times. Whenever someone is out of phase and not in our reality so they can walk through doors and stuff like that, why don't they fall through the floor?
Dude, okay. So, I was watching these episodes, or this particular episode, I watched it with my girlfriend last week, right before the fucking bubonic plague hit me. And we talked about that because she was the one that brought it up, because I've seen, and you're right, so many sci-fi shows do this where they put somebody out of sync with our current reality. She's like, how, if he can walk through stuff, how's he just standing there? And
yeah,
I'm like,
I mean, I get it.
Damn it.
I'm not an idiot. I know there'd be no story.
I know.
If they didn't make that concession.
But can't you just...
But at the same time, come on.
Throw me a rope. Make some off-the-cuff remark. Give me something that I can, like, fucking sink my teeth into.
Right. You know, he was touching the floor at the time.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Fine. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. Just give me something. And I would have...
Oh, it's residual gravity memory.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, that's good work on that one, by the way.
Yeah, right? Listen, I could do this. This is what frustrates me so much about bad writing, is if you give me 30 seconds and 5 tries, I will get 3 of them better than what you did.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think you just had 2 and just nailed both. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
You know, so going back on topic and off topic, going back to when we saw Teal'c run through Daniel and we were talking about that was a good visual effect, I would have liked to see a little bit more of that, like him going through a door or something like that into Hammond's office, like when Hammond takes that phone call, because every time we get to a new location, Daniel's there already. And I'm like, come on, like, use the effect. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's fine.
And he's like casting shadows on stuff, and there's shadow on him, and it's like, okay, again, this isn't how it would work. There's nothing you can do about it, but you know, shoot him separately and green screen him in so he looks out of phase. Yeah,
I agree. But other than that, the only blah, 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 I can't talk right now. The other note I had, and again, this is another Dan Aykroyd and Ghostbusters reference. Right at the beginning of the episode when Daniel's staring at that fucking crystal skull and shit, and you know something's about to happen. You've seen Ghostbusters 2, right?
Yeah.
All right, so there's a scene where Ray, Dan Aykroyd's character, is like taking measurements from the Vigo the Carpathian painting, and he ends up staring in Vigo's eyes and gets transformed into that fucking pig monkey fucking version of Ray, you know? And I was like, oh, let it happen. Because I didn't remember this episode. I'm like, let Daniel turn into some wildebeest right now, when he whips around. And everything would have come full circle. But no, we didn't get that.
No, not quite.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, I got a couple of other things about this episode, too. Like, when they're looking at the Malp video, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but Carter's like, oh, those are leptons. Sir, we need to go there. Leptons are fucking electrons. Like, they're the tiniest little thing. She sees radiation on the little Malp TV screen? No, it's not happening.
Ooh, yeah. And not just that, those were what she was talking about, how they just go through everything, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I didn't buy that at all. That's a problem. And that's a problem with Carter, is that every time I start to be a Carter fan, the writing goes south on her a little bit.
Yeah.
No,
I know. I get that.
And then she's forced to redeem herself like 3 episodes later.
Yeah. And then at the end of the episode, when they bring Nick through with them for no reason, and they're shambling along that 1.5 foot wide balance beam that they call a walkway, you've got this, I don't know what, 70-year-old man who has already stumbled 6 times.
Yep.
Jack, hold him up, or even better, just grab him by the jacket, pick him up because he weighs 13 pounds, and walk him over your head.
No, what did he do instead?
Instead, he steadies him and then lets go and hangs back 6 feet.
To me, it almost looked like he was nudging him forward. I'm like, oh shit, he's going to push him off the side.
And then the alien shows up and everybody's, they're making nice with it. And then the alien's like, oh, you can stay. And Nick's like, great. All right. I didn't pack a bag, but I'm in. Yeah. I'll stay.
Yeah. So, okay. Are we done with Nick at this point?
Yep.
Okay. See, that's what's weird to me. And we've had a couple of episodes like this. Is I want the payoff. Like, let him stay there for a while and then have them come back and see what he's learned. Like, is that kind of what they're going for? Is that the whole idea was that, okay, we'll come back for you at some point, or you're here now forever?
Yeah. No, I think it was that we'll see him again and that he's sort of our ambassador to them. I think when he's there, he's ageless because Daniel didn't get hungry. I think this is a situation where if we ever wanted to, we could go back and get Nick and he'd be fine.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's dead. I don't think time passes in the same way for him. And I'm pretty sure we don't see him again. Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
Maybe someone's going to yell at me. But by that same token, like, this is the one thing that I both love and hate about Stargate, because it doesn't finish certain stories, but then there are others that it does. Like, it
completely shuts the door on.
Deep cut, and just pulls things back and brings them back to the forefront. And we're going to talk a little bit about that with the next 2 episodes, I think.
Yeah.
But it works well. So it's a trade-off. Like, I think not everything works, and I think not everything works in the right time. And so we don't see all that payoff. But to me, it means there's more story there to tell, even if it's just in fan fiction or in your own head.
Yeah. And maybe when I watch episodes like this, the idea that I kind of get is that they didn't know if it was going to be something they wanted to go back to, so they would just they left it open ended a little bit. They're like, you know what, maybe this is something we can work with down the road, which I'm okay with. Like, I really am okay with them not necessarily completely closing off a storyline, because I would like to see some of these brought back.
Sure,
but,
absolutely.
Yeah, no, it was a bit of a weird ending. For Nick and everything else, I just felt like we were rushed through that episode a little bit, in my opinion, too. But that's just me. And again, I didn't love it as much as you did. I didn't hate it. Don't get me wrong, man. Did not hate it. But the problems literally came at the start with that shitty-ass special effect. And
now, once you look past that, this is a fantastic episode.
Dude, I did. I got past it, and then they fucking brought it back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got past it, and then they send fucking Teal'c back through there. I'm like, God damn it, we're back. Like, fuck. I couldn't do it. Dude. I wanted to, but
yep.
So you ready to move on to the season finale?
Indeed.
Okay, let's talk Nemesis.
All right. So in this episode, Daniel has an appendix burst, and so he's in the hospital. So everybody else gets leave, and so it's going to be a nice quiet time in the SGC because nothing is going to go wrong. Teal'c is off planet visiting his son. Carter is elbow deep in the Naquadah generator, and Jack is just going to go fishing, and then bam, he's kidnapped by Thor and told to rescue everybody, and he's apologized too for being murdered by Thor because he shouldn't have brought him on the ship, and now he's not going to teleport him down, and that's basically this episode.
Yeah, I actually thoroughly enjoyed how that episode started. By the way,
I
thought it was a really cool, like, everybody's just trying to relax. And Jack just wants somebody to go fishing with, man. That's all he wants.
He does.
He just wants to go fishing.
He just makes those overtures to Carter, and I think that it was like, again, it's this will they, won't they thing with her.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm getting real tired of the teasing already. You know?
I guess. I mean, I love them, and I hope they would get together, but I don't know that they will.
Yeah. It's either shit or get off the pot. You know, either hook up or don't.
That's exactly it.
Like, I don't know. I don't know. Part of me wants to say there's no room in a sci-fi TV show for the type of romance that they're setting up. But at the same time, I also think that you have to do something to further your characters along, you know? And if that means that maybe you have two that date or see each other outside of work, then that's one angle you can take, you know? But I don't want to. I want to see more Stargate. I don't need as much fucking will they won't they scenario. You know.
I kind of liked the will they won't they in Farscape, which I don't know. I forget. I think you haven't seen that yet.
Correct. No, I have not.
You should. They had Cam Mitchell from the later seasons of Stargate and Vala Maldoran. Fallen in love, and it was just great. You know, it was sort of their prequel to the Stargate universe. But no, it was a good time. It was a sci-fi. It was serious. It was death. It was destruction. It was all that, and you also had some emotional component to it. And I think that it can work if done right.
Yeah, no, I agree that you can. I'm just torn on whether or not I want to see it. You know what I'm saying? That's all.
Oh, totally.
I think it can be done right, but. That has nothing to do with this episode, really. Like that was a side little tangent.
No, but you know what? One thing I love about this episode is that even though this is a season finale cliffhanger, it is also a story in and of itself. This isn't like we got half a story and then had to wait.
You are 100% accurate. Because this episode did kind of finish itself up. We just happened to see what came next. Like a direct representation of, okay, now they have to deal with this on Earth type of thing. You know?
Yep, absolutely. And I really fucking spectacular. I'm so happy that this played out the way it did because I think that both of them, nice compact stories, totally entertaining on both aspects of it. One of them definitely higher budget than the other because Nemesis... I got to tell you, you could see it had a bigger budget than Small Victories.
Yes. So with Nemesis, I'm sorry, we got our first look at the replicators. Definitely not our last.
No.
And the one thing I will say, at least I remember it this way, and again, you got to grant me a little slack here because I haven't watched them in a while. The visual effects for the replicators get a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like, and I actually have in my notes between these two episodes, I didn't remember them ever being purple.
Yeah,
and they were purple from the ship, and we're going to talk a little bit about Small Victories too in this because they do overlap.
Absolutely,
some.
man. Yeah, absolutely.
Because the replicators on the ship, when they're on Thor's ship, they're purple. But that's because they're made of advanced materials that just happen to tinge it purple because Thor gets into this boring explanation in Small Victories with Carter about exactly what each block is made up of.
Yeah.
And we see in that in Small Victories that they are being made up of the materials they have on hand, which are parts of the sub, and so they're more susceptible to seawater and shorting out and corrosion and all of this stuff. And I love that. Like, I think that's a fantastic explanation. It's a nice in-universe explanation for why you looked at your own product and went, oh, it's purple, let's make them blue. And they were able to fix it.
Yep. No, and that is done, and you're right, man, that is done the way it should be done. When you're still running on a TV-based budget, when you need to correct something, you need to do it in story. And again, this is one of those things that they just threw out a bone for us that works. Like, I'm good. I'm really good with that explanation. I really am.
No, I know. Since we met Thor, we've been teased with the replicators, and I really, like, I always have this fear that it's going to be like the description of Darth Vader, being put in the suit. Like, the talk about it builds it up so much that when you actually see what causes it, you're like, oh, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And this, I didn't feel that. Like, these are terrifying. This taps into some primal, like, I want to squash bugs type of thing that works.
Yep.
And to think that the reason we're able to help is because we're brutes and we're dumb is just spectacular. Like, these are learning machines, and so you do have to defeat them by acting erratically, and that's something that Jack does, and Carter, to an extent, proves she can do it in Small Victories.
Yeah. Going back to Nemesis, you know what? Every now and then, the writing can be done so well on this show. And Nemesis and Small Victories were written by Robert Cooper, and both were directed by Martin Wood. Like staples in the SG-1 run. The writing for Jack was done so well. There was a great scene where he finally figures out how to use that communication device, and he's got his back to the basically has his back to the camera. So he's like, "Hello, is this thing on?" And they're all yelling at him. And he has to turn around. Like, it's very small stuff like that really sinks me into the show or into an episode more. Like, you can have the best storyline ever, and you can have the best special effects, but if you don't have, if your characters, because that's not something that, if Carter would have gotten beamed up, Carter would have gotten that communication device right, but Jack wouldn't have, and it's very important to me that Jack doesn't get that right the first time,
Right, because he is kind of stumbling, and like, they even say when Carter and Teal'c show up on the ship, and it gets explained that there's this whole explanation in the video that Thor left for Jack, and Jack's like, oh yeah, I zoned out.
I should have finished watching those. Yeah,
right.
That's exactly what it is. So he takes Carter over to that panel, and he's like, yeah, you just put those rocks on there, and it's so it's so very Jack. So what I was getting at, though, the writing, I truly felt like everybody was fleshed out pretty well throughout both of those episodes. Even at the very beginning, when Teal'c's not there at the start, it's explained that he's off-world with his kid, and that Sam would want to rather spend her time tinkering with stuff, like that. To her, that's her downtime. The writing, just everywhere across the board, the writing was done so well. Thor's explanation of the replicators, some of the BS technical stuff, when they're talking about the different drives on the ship and stuff like that. It was all just some of the best writing I've seen yet, to be honest, or heard yet.
No, it all worked very well, but Jack saying "as friends" repeatedly tells everyone it's not as friends when he's asking Carter to go with him. And I love how well he knows people, because he's like, hey, Daniel, you should come with me. And Daniel's like, oh, or, you should, how are you feeling? Oh, I'm feeling pretty good. You want to go fishing? Oh, I'm not feeling so good.
Probably
and Jack
here.
Knew that was going to be the answer. Like, you could see it in his face that he was lobbed a softball and he was going to knock it out of the park. And I think he did.
No, I agree with you, dude. I really do. Man, these were two great episodes. The really, I mean, and this is going to kind of echo Crystal Skull a little bit. It was just, and again, I do remember the replicators looking better, but that when you're first introduced to them in Nemesis, like there was one where it was kind of like right behind Jack or something like that, and it did look a little off. But I really can't. I tried. I really did try to nitpick these episodes, and I came up with almost little to nothing.
Yeah, it was tough because they were good. I mean, I think that the replicators in Small Victories looked better than the ones in Nemesis, because I think between the break and between the color changes and everything, it better fit the world and the look and all of that.
Yes.
But yeah, no, seriously, like, you're right. There was not a lot that I nitpicked in this. I tried to look up what the meaning of the runes that Thor had Jack type into the computer to teleport everything up meant. And it was, there's not direct translation, but it looked like a lot of like torch, sun, multh, man. So I'm not sure if it was like the crew phonetically trying to get like, we're trying to take people from the mouth of the gate, or if it was just coincidence. But I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. And Teal got a beard.
Teal got a beard at the end. Or actually, that was the beginning of the next
It
one.
was the beginning of it. It was so weird. Sorry. It was just so weird.
My first thought when I saw that was, okay, does he only grow hair there?
Yeah. I was like, is there a caterpillar on my screen right now?
Right. But I mean, I for anybody that is in military that's already writing an email to me to yell at me to tell me that they carry razors with them because looking good is the first and foremost to their commanders. I get it. I do. I know that Jack at the very least would have a razor on him. So it's fine. Don't yell.
Yeah.
We're good.
We got this. Don't worry.
But I definitely had a moment at the end of this episode when they teleported the gate up to the ship where I was just like, oh fuck, oh shit, the gate. Oh no. And then the whole ship crashed into the ocean, and all I could think was that California is now gone.
Yeah.
They just wiped out California, the tsunami from the ship crashing, and then I'm sure there's going to be secondary explosions. We're sorry, California. If the waves don't get you, the resulting shock waves and San Andreas Fault will.
So, for our listeners, I was telling Kevin, I watched these episodes during the bubonic plague that I got, and I really didn't get the bubonic plague, by the way, people. I don't want anybody fucking thinking I got that. So some of this I don't remember. Did they talk about what they're going to do about that fucking spaceship in the ocean?
No.
So
no, they did
that's
not.
just there now.
We'll revisit this in, I think it's actually season 8 before we get back to this.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
No, I don't want to spoil anything. I don't want too far ahead, but I think it is season 8 before we get back to talking about this.
Because they have to explain it somehow, right? Like, that thing can't fall from the fucking sky and people just going, that seems normal.
Nope, we are actually, even in season 8, I don't think we're going to get a satisfactory explanation for it.
All right. So I would have liked to seen that, like something, but whatever. Again, those are small nitpicks, man. Other than that, what a way to end season 3 and what a fucking way to start season 4, really.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you hit it on the head earlier. As an ending for the season, what a great episode and what a perfect way to do it. They wrap up essentially happy on another planet, or at least, if not happy, safe. And then we start the next episode with them coming back and being like, damn, son, it's been weeks.
Yeah. And I think I initially used the word cliffhanger, and I didn't quite mean to say cliffhanger. It's more of, like, I like cliffhanger season finales if they're done right. And this is just this is a way of doing a season finale and still bringing your next season together as if they flow as one episode.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
Really, that could have just been a fucking 2-hour movie. They could have just made another Stargate SG or a Stargate SG-1 movie at that point. I know they did. Yeah. And that could have been a great movie, just a standalone movie.
Oh, would have been spectacular.
Yeah, I would have totally watched that. So, that's all the notes I had on those two. Did you have anything?
That is pretty much all I had on Nemesis. On Small Victories, I mean, that took place on the sub. The opening of that, where they showed the Russian sailors on the boat, made me miss Rick Moranis.
He's not dead for one. Just the way you said that, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, is he implying that Rick Moranis is dead?
No, he's not, but he did retire from acting when his wife passed, unfortunately.
They did, yeah.
So, I mean, there is that. And I found it a little weird. So when they were doing the opening scene recap of Nemesis, and they showed Jack being teleported up, for some reason, the video of Jack being teleported to the ship was flipped horizontally. It was flipped left to right. Because in Nemesis, when they teleport him up, he comes up from the left-hand side of the screen up to Thor's ship.
What?
But in the recap, he comes up from the right-hand side.
That fucking went right over me, dude.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, sorry, my brain works weird. But it's little things like that I'm like, why? Like, it doesn't make any sense to put the effort in to flip video like that for me.
No, that's no effort whatsoever, you would think.
I mean, just get it right. Just copy and paste the video in, and they did that, and then went through the effort to flip it.
Wow. Good catch on that, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they send in the team, so Carter's off with Thor trying to be dumb and defeat the replicators. And they send in Teal'c and Jack, and we're looking at the monitor, right? And okay, for some reason they can track where they are on the ship. I'm willing to let that go.
Yes.
I don't know how that works, and the real world answer is it doesn't. But we're watching them, and on the monitor I see Teal'c or it's a T and an S, and then further away I see O and B, and I know it's O'Neill and Baker and Teal'c and Stevens, and my first thought was, oh, poor Stevens and Baker. Because there is absolutely no way they are both surviving this.
But if you would have flipped that, they would have literally, at least they stood somewhat of a chance being broken up partnered with Teal'c and Jack.
Right. You might get one of them out of there.
Maybe you're right, though.
It could happen.
You switch those roles and you fucking put those two together. Nope. No. You're done. Like, it's over. It's a wrap. Yeah, that's funny as shit, dude.
Yeah, and I didn't understand why the replicators have a queen.
Yeah, so when I saw that, I was like, are you going with like the whole Queen Bee thing, which I don't necessarily have a problem with, but then why make them spider-like in their appearance and movements?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thought process on this, I'm certain they were trying to channel Aliens with this, where you've got the creepy attacking alien. Yeah. And then in Aliens, the movie, Ripley goes up against the Queen, and it's a bigger, tougher to beat version of them. That in Aliens, because of the life cycle of these creatures, it makes sense within the canon of the story. As long as you don't watch Alien Covenant. And not to ruin anything. But in this, it doesn't make any sense because Thor specifically says that you only need a couple of blocks and each block exerts force and is able to replicate other things. Why then do you need a queen? You don't. It doesn't make any sense. It is, if you want a bigger version of it, fine, but they seem to have a special job for this queen. And that's not just because it was made up or at its core was the replicator from the ship.
Yeah.
It was doing things that the others weren't doing.
Yeah. Almost, it almost felt like a filler type of thing. And you're right. It's almost like they did want to hearken, and good reference with the Aliens reference there, by the way. It's almost like they did kind of want to hearken that to give them that one final showdown, that one big boss showdown type of moment. And and you're right. One, you can't compete with Aliens on so many different levels. No. And you definitely can't compete on them if you have a sci-fi TV show budget. Like you have to get more creative than doing that.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a shame. That's a shame about so much you just spoke of too, by the way.
No, but on the flip side of that, I loved when Jack is yelling at Daniel to shoot the sub out of the water, and they censor him by poor connection. Fire the torpedo.
Yeah. We can make connections through a Stargate. You think that should be pretty easy to do. you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, not at all, apparently.
Yeah, and you know what? It was a kind of a cool parallel for me that sacrificing O'Neill was what saved the day in both cases. Sacrificing the ship, the O'Neill, saved the Asgard from the replicator attack that was coming at them. And O'Neill sacrificing himself on the sub was what saved the Earth. And even though Thor was able to show up and teleport them out of there, O'Neill didn't know that when he ordered the strike on the sub. So it was the sacrifice of O'Neill twice that saved two separate people.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're absolutely right there, dude. Good job. I didn't even think about that.
Thanks.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. But the bigger thing for me on this particular episode is like what this opens up for us now. You know? Like what this brings into the Stargate universe.
Yeah. They're like the Daleks from Doctor Who. You ever watch Doctor Who?
I have. Yeah. Not the new stuff because fuck the old Doctor.
He's fine. He's all right. He's less than fine, but he's okay. But no, it's really, I love that when you have an episode and they want to make you creeped out, they just throw in Daleks.
Yeah.
And it works. And they do the same thing with replicators because not just the fact that they look like weird mechanical spiders, they're creepy on their own.
They're very creepy. And they're creepy like by themselves, and they're creepy in numbers. And I think Thor, was it Thor that actually made a reference to that? How Thor said that they have individual minds, but they're also a hive mentality. Like they can individually learn on their own, but they have a hive mentality, you know.
Yeah, and they don't sleep.
No.
And they have the much long. They're playing the long game, like he said. They're in no rush. You know, they were going slow through hyperspace because they were using the extra energy to build up their forces because they know that's their best chance at victory.
Yeah,
you know, it's about numbers. It's crunching those numbers.
It's going to be such a good. All those episodes, all those replicator episodes are so fucking good, dude. It is such a good fucking villain for the Stargate universe. So
yeah, absolutely, and I think it's a great measure of the SGC's power through the seasons because each iteration of the replicators that we see are more and more powerful, and we're always right at that cusp of being able to defeat them. And to me, that's not cheesy the way they do it in this. It's perfect. You know, it's growth. It's, you know, I love it. I
think the replicators, unlike the Goa'uld, because the Goa'uld have gotten to a point that, at least in comparison to the replicators, they've stopped learning. You know, they've stopped. Oh, yeah. They're still trying to use the same tactics to defeat their enemies, which has worked for them in the past until humans, apparently, or until, you know, current day humans. Whereas the replicators will constantly learn and constantly evolve and change, and I think that's what makes them the scarier of those two villains.
Hell yeah!
So, yeah, fantastic though, man. I am so pumped. I am so pumped for this future seasons now.
Yeah, super excited.
Yeah. So next week, what do we got next week? The Other Side, Upgrades, and Crossroads. We got two, not one, but two Peter DeLuise directed episodes.
Oh,
and
fantastic.
a Martin Wood. Nice. Okay. Martin Wood and a Martin Wood. It's a very weird statement, a Martin Wood. Sometimes I just pause myself like that. Sometimes I have weird thoughts too, Kevin, okay? That's all. Allowed. That's all. Do you remember anything about those episodes based on the name?
No, I'm actually looking at them right now, and no, nothing's coming to mind, but I can't wait.
I do remember, spoiler alert, 2 weeks from now, we are going to be talking about Window of Opportunity. And I do remember that one a little bit. So...
I can't wait for that one. That I don't remember enough of it, but I know it's
same thing, man. I remember I liked the episode, but I don't remember enough of it to talk about it right now. So,
oh shit. So I need to make a quick retraction here. it's not season 8 that we get some more payoff on the ship falling in the ocean. It's actually in 2 weeks. We get more of the story.
Really, with Watergate?
Yep, Watergate.
Looking at the name, I just went with that one.
Yep. All right. That's
Okay.
enough. That's enough.
No, I'm
spoilers
literally
for now.
just looking at names of episodes. That's all I'm looking at, so don't worry. I'm not going to spoil myself. Wait.
Good.
Edge-
Don't. I'm on IMDb.
No, I use the Stargate SG-1 episodes on Wikipedia. That's how I keep track of myself. Thank you everybody for tuning in. As always, again, I'll echo it again. Sorry that we didn't get that episode up last week, but you will be having a double episode this week, and I hope you enjoy them both. Show notes, as always, are in the description. Please reach out to us. Let us know how you're enjoying these episodes. And I look forward to talking to you again next week, Kevin.
All right. Always. It's been
Always
fun.
is. Good night.
Good night.